Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to this session. And in this session, we will discuss and talk about the second project, end to end Power BI project. And this entire video is basically about an insurance project that we are going to create. And in the previous project, we have discussed about end to end sales data analysis using Power BI. We discussed about data cleaning, Power BI desktop, report view, using different visuals, creating different visuals, and then we also discussed about formatting those visuals. But in this particular project, our major aim and focus will be to discuss about Power BI service. So we will be creating a report and we will publish that report to Power BI service. So we'll basically discuss about publishing the report to Power BI service. We will discuss about reports and dashboards. We will create a report as well in Power BI desktop and then we will publish it to Power BI service. We will also learn about scheduling refresh, and we are also going to discuss about your different types of filters. Although we have discussed about drill through filters in the previous project video, but in this project video we will talk about different types of filters. For example, your visual level filter, report level filter, page level filter, and we'll be creating a report as well. And in the next project, I will try to discuss about DAX functions, and I'll also discuss about data modeling. But in this project, our major focus and aim will be to discuss about publishing the report and scheduling refresh and workspaces and dashboards and all that stuff. So I think before beginning with this particular project, it is important that you should have a free Power BI account. If you already have a free Power BI account, that's fine. Otherwise, I will be sharing a link in the description box below, and you can first of all just create a free Power BI account using that video. I mean, you'll just know how to create a free Power BI account. Even if you are not having a work or a school account, you can still create a free Power BI account because it will be required to publish the reports to that account. So it's recommended that once you create that account, and only after that you start watching this entire project. So I hope that's all for this session. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. So let's begin with this particular session. And here we will import the data. We will basically bring the data to Power BI desktop, and we will then do data profiling. And we will also try to add some more columns in our data set to prepare the data so that we can further use it for reporting. So I will simply first of all click here on get data. Then since I want to import a CSV file, so I'll click on this option text CSV. And since this is the data set related to which we want to create the report, so I'll select this data set. It may take some time. Then I will click here on transform data because I want to go there to Power Query editor and I want to add some columns first of all. So this will open the Power Query editor for us. In the previous project video, I've already discussed about data cleaning, and I've also talked about Power Query editor. So you can refer to that video as well. But in this project also, we will discuss about Power Query editor, and but our major focus will be to talk about publishing the reports in Power BI service and reports and dashboards and workspaces. So here you can see that these are the various columns which are available to us. The very first column is age column, having the data type whole number, and then we have a column named sex, which is having the data type as text. And similarly here we have one more column by the name BMI, and it is having the data type decimal number. Similarly here we have children. It represents nothing but the number of the children, and it is also again a whole number. Then we have this column by the name smoker, and actually each record in this particular data set represents a given individual, and for that given individual these details are given to you. Age is given, sex is given, BMI, number of the children, and if that given person is a smoker or not, that is also given. And the region is also given to you, that represents the region to which that particular person belongs to. And then in the end we have insurance charges. So insurance charges column is having data type as a decimal type. Similarly, region column is having the data type as your text data type, right? Now, the very first thing that you have to do once you load the data is that you should do data profiling. So you must check column distribution, column profile, and column quality for each column. So once you have done that, only then you should go for reporting. So here you can see by default it shows the column profiling based on top 1,000 rows. So since there can be more rows, so we will first of all have to select this column profiling based on entire data set. And once you've selected this, so you can see that we have a total of 1,338 records, and this distinct and unique count is also shown to you. And this shows the percentage of the valid values, errors, and empty values. We have already discussed about data profiling in the previous project video, so you can refer to that as well, and you can go through the data profiling. But this is the most important thing, especially the data types. You must know about the data types of each and every column, and it has to be correct, especially when we are using multiple tables in the data set. Here we are having only one table, but especially in the cases where we are using multiple tables, then in that case it may be required that you'll have to create relationship between those tables. So data type is the most important thing there, right? So you should check the data type for each column. You should know about the definition of each column, and then you should also check column distribution, column profile, and column quality for each column, right? So here we can clearly see that null values are not present in any one of the column. As you can see this green line, and you can see that no null values are present, or blank values, empty values are also not present in any one of the columns. So that's a good thing. Now let's talk about some other data transformation steps. Now first of all, I will just simply click here on view tab, and I'll uncheck these boxes, but you should check these three quantities, that is column distribution, column profile, and column quality for each column before beginning with the reporting part. Now here, as I already told you, that each record is representing a given individual, and for that particular individual, his or her age, sex, BMI, number of the children, smoker, region, and insurance charges are given to you. Now let's say, as per my reporting requirement, it is required that we should be able to identify each one of the individual by a unique ID, right? But I'm not having any such column here. So for that purpose, what I'll do, I'll simply click here on this icon, and then I will add index column, and let's start this index column from 1. So you can see that it has now added an index column in this particular table, and using this particular index, or using the particular values in this column, index column, we can identify each individual which is being represented in each record, right? And now let's say I want to move this index column to the beginning. So I'll right click on this column, and I'll click on move, and I'll move it to the beginning. And since, as per my reporting requirement, it is not required to perform any mathematical operation like finding out the average or finding out the sum, is not required for the index column. It is just being used for identifying each individual or each record separately. So I will change its data type from a whole number to text data type, right? And now you can see that we have one more column by the name age, right? But I want to group these individuals among different categories, and we will try to name those categories. You can consider a convenient name according to your convenience, but we want to categorize these people into different groups and categories, because we want to represent or use that particular thing for our reporting. So for that purpose, first of all, I'll click here on this drop down, and I will click here on sort ascending. So this tells you that the minimum age present in this particular data set is 18. And now I will click here on sort descending. So the maximum age is nothing but 64. Now let's say I want to create different age groups, and I want to add a column basically in this particular data set, and I will then use it in my reporting. And basically I want to group these individuals according to those age groups. So I will click here on add column. We have already seen the minimum and maximum ages, and then I'll click here on conditional column, and I will now name this new column that I'm going to add or create. So I will name this column as age group. Fine. If our column named age is having or contains the age which is, let's say, less than 25, then in that case we want to keep it, let's say, in group named, let's name that group as group A1. Let's say we want to keep it in a group or a category named A1. So this should be the output in the resulting column for the age of the people, or for the people who have age less than 25. Now if there are people who have age, let's say, less than, let's keep it 51, who have age less than 51, then let's say we want to keep them in group A2. So I will write A2 here, right? And if there is like other case, because we have already seen that the maximum age is 64, so above 50 will basically be categorized in the third group, and I want to name that group as A3. So in this manner you can define and write the conditions, and you just simply need to click on OK. So this will add one more column for you, and according to this column we have tried to categorize people or put people in different categories according to their age groups. I will change its data type. By default it has taken any data type, but I want to change it, let's say, to text, so I'll keep it text, right? And here you can see, if I'll click here on this drop down, then you can see that there are three categories, first being A1, second one being A2, and third one being A3, as we have categorized. And if you want to see those conditions again, then in this add conditional column you can just simply click here on the gear icon, and once you've clicked on the gear icon you can see these conditions here as well, right? You can define the conditions according to your convenience. Just in order to give you an example that how can you add conditional columns, I told you about this. So we'll discuss about the reporting in the next video. I think that's all for this session. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. Yeah, hello everyone. So also there is one more thing that you should keep in mind when you have made any changes in the Power Query editor. Then in that case you should first, then you, once you have made all the changes, required changes, you should click here on this home tab, and once you've clicked there on this home tab, you can click here on this drop down. If you simply want to apply the changes and you want to stay here in Power Query editor, then you can click here on this apply option. If you want to apply the changes that you have made and you want to go back to the report view for creating the report, you should click on close and apply. And if you simply want to head over to the report view without applying the changes that you have made, then in that case you should click on close. But since here in this case I want to apply the changes that I have made and I want to go back to the report view, so I will click here on close and apply. So this will take you back to the report view in Power BI desktop, and it will close the Power Query editor as well. Now let's start creating the report. Fine. So let's say first of all I want to represent this index that we created, or we can just give it some other name, but let's keep it index only. You can change the name as well by double clicking on it. So this index is basically the ID by which we were identifying each record. So you can change the name as well. Let's name it as ID. So this is basically the ID using which we can identify each individual or each record, right? So let's say I want to represent this in a slicer or in a visual filter. So what I'll do, I'll just simply click here on this slicer icon in the visualizations pane, and it will create a blank slicer for us. I'll resize it, and then I'll simply click here on this. Once you have selected this blank slicer, then you can just simply click here on this ID from the data pane. So it will show and represent various IDs like this on the canvas, right, in this slicer or the visual filter. Now let's say when we will create other visuals and we will add other visuals to this canvas or the report design area, we will be able to see the data only for the selected IDs, right? So we will talk about that and discuss about that as well. Now let's say I want to represent the count of total number of customers or total individuals for which the data is given. So for that purpose I'll be using a card visual. So first of all I'll click here anywhere on the blank area on the canvas, and then I will simply click here on the card visual. I'll simply move it here, and you can resize it according to your need. And now I will simply drag this ID field. We basically want to know about the count of the IDs, right? Because count of IDs will basically give us the count of total number of individuals for whom the data is given. So I will now simply again click here on this ID column, but this by default shows you the first ID. So here in the fields pane, I'll click here on this drop down and I will select count distinct from here. So this represents and shows that there are a total of 1338 individuals for which the data is given to you, right? And now let's say I'm interested in adding a border to this particular card visual. So I'll select this card visual. Then I'll click here on format your visual option, general, effects, and you can change this visual border to on. And let's say I want to change its color. So you can again click here on this format your visual, general, effects, and you can change the color as well from here. So we can choose this color. Fine, it looks better now. And let's say I want to change the name here. Here you can see that count of ID is written. Let's say here I want to write total number of the customers. So you can just simply double click here in your fields bucket and you can rename it as number of customers, and here it will change the name for you. For this particular slicer as well, I want to add a border to this. So I'll simply first of all select this particular visual and then I'll click here on format your visual, general, effects, and I'll change this visual border to on, and from here I can change the color. And let's take this color, right? So here you can see that we have represented various IDs, and let's say I want to increase the size of this ID which is written at the top. So you can first of all select the slicer, then click here on format your visual, then you can click on slicer header, and let's say I want to change the font style as well. So you can change it from here. Let's keep it Arial black, and you can further increase the size, and if you want to keep it italic, then you can change that as well. I think we should not keep it italic, that's fine. So that's how you can change the font, its size, and the style from here. And you can also change the color if you wish to. Let's say I want to keep it black only, else you can change the color from here as well. If you want to keep some other color, you can change it from here like this, right? But as of now, let's keep it black. So I'll keep it black only, right? So you can further resize it. Now when we have selected any given particular ID, you can see that the count is being shown to you as 1, and the count should be obviously equal to 1. So that's the right thing. I'll resize it and you can clear the filter. Now it shows you the total number of the customers, that is 1338. Hello everyone. So now let's say we want to add some other visuals to this page. So we will add those visuals to this page now. But let's say as of now, since we do not want this filters pane, so I will simply hide it. So you can just simply click here on this view tab and hide this filters pane like this. Now let's say I want to represent region. We have one more column by the name region. Let's say we want to represent this region column in a slicer because we want to filter the visuals that we will be creating on this page according to different regions as well. So again, I'll simply click here on this. First of all, I'll click here on the blank area on the canvas. Then I'll click here on the slicer and let's keep it here. We can keep it here as well. Fine. Now let's say I want to represent region in this particular slicer. So I will first of all click here on the slicer and then I will simply check this box. And here you can see that different regions are being represented. Now let's say I want that this particular region slicer should be having same formatting as that of the ID slicer. So I will first of all click here on this ID slicer and I'll click on format painter and I'll again click on region slicer. Now let's say I want to change the style for this particular region slicer. So you will first of all have to click here on the slicer then click on format your visual. Then under this slicer setting, you can change the style from here. Let's say I want to keep it tile, so you can keep it tile and it will look something like this. If you will select a particular region, let's say I want to know the number of the customers for southeast region, and you will click here on the southeast region, you can see that the IDs corresponding to southeast region are now only present here in this ID slicer, and the number of the customers are being represented or shown with respect to the southeast region. If you want to remove this filter, then you can simply click here on this clear selection. And now let's say we want to see for northwest, then you can just simply click on northwest and it will show you the total number of the records of the customers from northwest region, and corresponding IDs will now only be shown here on this ID slicer. And now since I want to remove this filter, as of now I want to clear this filter basically, so I'll click here on this clear selection. So now again the total number of the customers are being represented. Now let's say we want to know about the average charges, right? Average charges for different age groups. So we have already created a column by the name age group, and we were having 3 age groups as we discussed in the previous video. And we now want to consider a chart on which we will be representing the average amount or the average charges for all different age groups. So we basically had 3 age groups. The very first was A1, second one was A2, and the third one was A3. So first of all, I'll click here on this blank area on the canvas, and then now let's say I want to represent that particular insight that we talked about, like the average charges by age group. Let's say I want to represent it in a bar chart. So you can simply select a stacked bar chart from here, and let's say I want to place it here. You can increase the size, and now you just simply need to click here on this age group, check this box, and now you just simply need to click here on charges. So this represents nothing but, as of now, it is representing the sum of charges. By default it represents the sum of charges, but we wanted to show the average of charges, right? So you can simply click here on this drop down, and then you can click on average. Now it represents the average charges by age group. And now let's say I want this bar chart to have same formatting as that of this region slicer. So I'll simply click here on this region slicer, then I'll click on format painter, and I'll click here on this particular chart. Right now let's format this bar chart, and let's say I want to remove this age group or the average of charges, let's say, from the horizontal axis, along the horizontal axis, and I want these numbers to be present in the data labels. So what I'll do, I'll simply click here on this chart, and then I will click here on format your visual, and let's say I want to remove this average of charges from the x-axis or the horizontal axis. So I'll simply change it to off, and then I will change this title also to off, and I'll then collapse it, and then I will change this data labels to on. So now you can see that 18K, 13K, and 9K, this is the average that is being represented, right, as a data label. So it is not required to represent it along the horizontal axis, and it comparatively looks better now. So that's the thing. And let's say we want to change the title as well, and along the vertical axis also we want to remove this age group. So I will again click here on this bar chart, then I will click here on format your visual. I will change this y-axis to off, I'll change it to on, I'll change the title to off, so that yes, these age groups are clearly visible. And let's say I want to change the title as well. As of now we have default title, which is average of charges by age group. Let's say I want to change it and I want to write average charges by age group. So under this title you can write average charges by age group, and let's say I want to change the font style, so you can change it from here. It's fine, so you can change it from here. Yes, and let's say I want to keep it Arial black only, so you can keep it like this. And let's say I want to decrease the size for the heading, so you can reduce the size as well. let's say I want the text to be underlined, so I'll click on underline. Now let's say I want to filter the entire page according to the northwest region, so I can simply click here on northwest, and here you can see that the average charges by age group are being represented. The average for A3 group is 18k, for A2 is 11k, and for A1 is 9k. If you want to clear selection, if you want to click on clear selection, you can do it. And now let's say we want to see for northeast region, so I'll select northeast, and now again it will show you the values accordingly, right? You can see the values for other regions as well. For southeast, it shows the average value for A3 is 21k, for A2 is 14k, while for A1 is 10k. And accordingly, the number of the customers and corresponding IDs are also getting filtered. So that's all for this session. We'll meet in the next session. We'll discuss about more visuals. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. Hey everyone. So let's begin with the next session. And let's say we want to add some more visuals to this report page. But before that, let's say I want to change the theme, so we can do that as well. So for that, you need to click here on this view tab, and then from here you can select a theme of your choice. Let's say I want to select this theme. So we can select or choose this theme like this in this manner. Let's say for this particular bar chart that we created, I want to change the color of the title, font of color of the font of the title. So we can first of all select this particular chart, then click here on format your visual, general, title, and you can change the color from here. Let's keep it black only. So you can change it like this, right? Now let's say I want to represent the total number of the customers also by age group. Like in this particular chart, we have represented the average charges by age group. Now we want to represent average number of the customers or individuals by this age group. So for that, I'll be using a line chart. So first of all, I'll click here on this blank area on this canvas. Anywhere you can click here on this blank area, and then you can select this blank line chart from here. And let's place it here. Let's keep it here. Fine. So you can place it here. And now let's say I want to represent the number of the individuals or number of the customers by age group. So first of all, I'll click here on this blank chart, and then I will click here on this age group. And after that, I will click here on this ID. So we just simply want count of ID. So I'll remove it because it is taking this ID when I am when I'll just simply check this box, it brings this ID in the legend bucket, but I don't want it to be in the legend bucket. So I'll just simply drag this ID column from the data pane and will drop it here in y-axis bucket. And from here, I will select the count, or you can select the distinct count as well. And now let's format this particular line chart. So I will click here on this card visual, and let's say I want this line chart to have same formatting as that of the card visual. So first of all, I'll click here on this card visual, then home tab, format painter, and then simply click here on this particular line chart. Now for this line chart, let's say I want to remove the grid lines. So I will select this particular line chart, and I'll click here on format your visual. Then under these grid lines, I will change this horizontal grid lines to off, and in this manner these grid lines will be removed. Let's say I want to change this x-axis and y-axis also to off, and let's say I want to change this data label to off, data labels to on. So this represents the count of the customers. And let's say along the x-axis I want the title to be displayed, so you can change this title to on, or we can change it to off as well. Let's say I want to change this x-axis to off, okay, on. So this represents the various age groups along the horizontal axis, and this 356, 278 and 704 represents nothing but the count of the customers. So for various age groups, you can see the count. And let's say I want to change the heading or the title, so you can just simply first of all select this chart, then click on general, then title, and you can change it from here. So we can simply write number of customers by age group. And let's say I want to change the color of this font, so we can change it from here. Let's keep it black and let's keep it bold, and you can further increase the size. If you want to change the horizontal alignment, then you can do that as well. So in this manner you can basically change the title, the font and the color, everything for the title. And let's say we want to add markers to this particular line chart, so I will again select this line chart, then I'll click here on format your visual, and we can change this markers to on, and you can further increase the size as well from here if you wish to increase the size. Fine. And for data labels also, if you want to change the font style and all, so you can do that as well. Simply click here on data labels, and under this values you can change the font style. Let's keep it Arial black, and you can change the color as well, and you can further change the size if you want to. So you can increase and decrease the size from here. And let's say along the horizontal axis we want that these age groups should be having different formatting, so you can select that as well. From here I'll change it to bold, I'll change the color to black, so you can see this A1, A2 and A3, that is different age groups in black color now. And you can increase the size as well, and you can change the font style as well according to your choice, so you can change that as well, right? So this line chart now represents the count of the customers or the number of the customers by age group. Hey everyone, so let's say now we want to add one more visual to this report page, on which we want to represent the average BMI for men and women, right? So I will first of all expand this data pane, and I will expand this visualizations pane as well. And for that purpose, let's say I want to use a ribbon chart. So I will first of all click here on the blank space in the canvas, and then I'll click here on this ribbon chart, and let's place it here. Let's keep it here. Let's increase the size as well. And for this ribbon chart, in this ribbon chart, let's say I want to represent the average BMI for men and women. So I will first of all select this, I will click here on this BMI field from the data pane, and I will simply drag and drop it here in the y-axis bucket. And since I want to represent the average of BMI for men and women, so from this drop down I will select average. By default it will select sum because it is a numerical field. You can see the summation sign as well before this BMI. And now since I want to represent it for men and women, so I will simply drag this field named sex from the data pane and will simply drop it here in x-axis bucket. So here you can see that the average BMI is now being represented for men and women. And now let's say I want to represent the count as well. So for that purpose, I will simply click here on format your visual, and I'll change this data label to on, and this represents the value. For male, this is 31, the average BMI is 31, and for female, the average BMI is 30. Now, let's say I also want to represent the average value for men and women who are smokers and non-smokers. I further want to categorize it as smokers and non-smokers. So I will simply click here on this particular ribbon chart, and I will click here on add data to your visual from the visualizations pane. And I will drag this smoker field or this field named smoker from the data pane, and will then simply drop it here in the legends bucket. So this now shows the average value for men and women, and we have further categorized them as smokers and non-smokers, right? So you can see this particular insight being shown on this particular visual. And now let's say I want this visual to have same formatting as that of the line chart. So I will simply click here on this line chart, then I'll click on format painter, and then I'll click here on this ribbon chart. So it now represents average BMI by sex and smoker, right? So that's what we wanted to represent. Let's say for this particular legend, I want to change the font and basically the font style, and so we can do that as well. I'll first of all click here on this ribbon chart, then I'll click here on format your visual, and then I'll click on ribbons. Fine, we will have to click here on legends, and we can click here on this text, and from here we can change the font style as well for legends. That is for this a smoker, no and yes, right? So let's keep it Georgia, and we can further increase the size as well. So that's how we can change it. And from here, you can see that this field is being represented here, right? That is, this legend is being represented here. And let's say if you want to change the title, then you can simply click here on this chart, format your visual, general, title, and you can change it from here. Let's write this BMI in capital letters. So we can write it like this. Fine. By sex, and let's write smoker, bracket, let's write yes or no. Fine. You can further change the title according to your convenience, and if we want to keep it underlined, then we can simply click here on underline, and you can see that the title is now underlined. So in this manner, we can represent the average of BMI for men and women, and also we can further categorize it if they are, if there are some individuals who are smokers and non-smokers. Hey everyone, so now let's say we want to add some more visuals to this report page, and let's say we want to represent the number of the customers who are smokers, and we want to represent the number of the customers who are non-smokers as well. So we can represent it on a donut chart. So first of all, I will click here on this blank area, and then I'll click here on this donut chart, and I will, once you have selected this donut chart, so a blank donut chart will be created, as you can see on the screen on your canvas. And now we can just simply drag this smoker field from the data pane, and we can drop it here in the values section. And similarly, we can drag this smoker field from the data pane, and we can drop it here in the legend section. So now this shows you the proportion of the people who are smokers and non-smokers, but still the exact count is not visible. So we can just simply click here on this particular chart, and then we can click on format your visual, and from this detail labels and from this label contents, you can select all the details, all detail labels. So this now represents that the people who are smokers are equal to 0.27k in number, and in percentage it is 20.48 percentage, while when it comes to the people who are non-smokers, so the count is equal to 1.06k, and they are around 79.52 percentage, right? So this is how the count can be shown and represented. Let's say I want this chart to have a border, so I can first of all simply select on this chart, and I'll click here on format your visual. Then from this general, click on FX and change this to on, and you can change the color from here as well for the border, right? And let's say I want to change the font style and color for the title as well, so you can simply click here on this particular chart, then format your visual, general, title, and you can simply change the title, and you can write number of smokers, and in the bracket you can write yes or no. You can choose any convenient title according to your choice. And let's say I want to change the color to black, so you can change the color to black. We can keep it bold, and we can further increase the size, or we can reduce it as well. Let's say we want to keep it center, so you can change the alignment as well. So that's how the number of the people who are smokers and non-smokers can be represented. Now let's say I also want to represent the count of the customers who are having different number of children, right? So for that purpose, I will select, let's say I'll select a bar chart again. So I can simply click here on this bar chart, and I will simply do Control C and Control V. One more chart will be created. I'll simply move it here, and I'll simply increase its size, and then I will remove these fields, that is age group from the y-axis bucket, and this x-axis, from this x-axis bucket I will remove average of charges, because this is for the chart from which we copied and we created this new chart. But in the new chart, we want to represent the count of the customers or the number of the individuals who are having different number of children, right? So what I'll do, I'll first of all click here on this blank bar chart, and then I will drag this children field from your data pane, and will then drop it here in the y-axis bucket. And I will drag this ID column from the data pane and will drop it here in the x-axis bucket. So you can see that the count of the customers is being represented, that is along the basically as a data label, that you can see that there are 574 customers who are having zero number of children. There are 324 such customers who are having only one children, 240 customers which are having two children, 157 who are having three children. So in that manner, you can see that the count of the customers is being represented on this chart, which are having different number of children. Like some of the customers are having 4 children, some of them are having 2. So this is being represented or shown through this chart. Now we can rename this chart that we have created. So since we copied this particular chart, that is average charges by age group, so this is this newly created chart that represents the count of the customers, basically number of the customers by count of children. So this chart is having the title as same of the previous chart, but we want to change this title. So I will simply click here on this chart, then I'll click on format your visual, general, title, and here we can write number of customers by count of children. And we can further change the size as well from here. Let's keep it 10 or maybe 11. I think 10 is fine. So that's how these charts can be created. And as I already told you, so this is a one-page report that we have created. We will also discuss about different types of filters, that is visual level filter, page level filter, and report level filter. And also there is one more thing that I already told you, that when we began with this project, we began the discussion. The point is that you should be having a free Power BI account, because this report, we'll publish this report to Power BI service, and then we will discuss about scheduling refresh as well. So you should have a free Power BI account. Even if you are not having a work or a school account, then you can refer to one of my videos. I'll be sharing the link to that video in the description box below. And first of all, you should create a free Power BI account. Only after that, you will be able to publish this report to Power BI service. So now we will discuss about publishing the report to Power BI service. And we will also talk about different types of filters. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this session, we are going to talk about different types of filters. There are basically 3 types of filters that we are going to discuss and talk about. So the very first type of filter is visual level filter, and second one is report level filter. That is the filter that is applied on all the pages in a given report. And then we have page level filter, which is applied on a given page on a given report, right? So first of all, like if you want to remove this filters pane, then under this view tab, you can click here on filters pane, it will be removed. And now let's say, since we want to see this filters pane, so I can again click here on this filters pane, and this will be visible now. Now let's expand this filters pane, and let's say, first of all, let's say we want to talk about visual level filter. So a visual level filter is a filter which is applied on a given visual, right? So first of all, let's say I want to select this particular chart, this particular ribbon chart, and let's say I want to apply one more filter on this particular ribbon chart, and I want to see the details only for either for men or for women. So what I'll do, I'll first of all select this ribbon chart, then I'll expand this filters pane, and let's expand this data pane as well. And I will drag this field name sex from the data pane and will drop it here in this add data fields here section. So now here you can see that we have total 662 female customers while 676 male customers. So if I will select male, then this particular visual, that is ribbon chart on which this filter has been applied, this will represent the data insight only and only for men, right? If I will select only female, then it will show us or represent the insight only and only for women, right? So this is a visual level filter, and we can apply this visual level filter on any given visual, right? On your report. So like I applied this particular visual level filter on this particular visual, you can apply it on some other visual as well. As of now I do not need it, so I'm removing it from here. Fine. And now let's talk about your filters on this particular page. So filters on this particular page, first of all I'll click here on the blank space on this canvas. Now you can see only two sections. The first one is filters on this page, which represents nothing but your page level filter, and filters on all pages means report level filter. So let's say I want to apply that men women filter on this entire page. So now I will drag this sex field from the data pane and will then drop it here in filters on this page section. Now let's say I want to see the insights only and only for female, so I will select female. Now it represents on this entire page, the insights are being represented for female customers, right? And now let's say if I'll select male, then all the insights will be shown only and only for male customers on this particular page. This entire page basically gets filtered accordingly, right? Using this page level filter, or you can say filters on this page. Now since I want to remove it, so you can simply remove it from here. Now let's talk about filters on all pages or report level filter. So for that purpose, first of all let's add one more page. So I will add page 2, and let's create a table visual or table, and then I'll have to expand this visualizations pane and simply click here on this table visual. And let's say on this table I want to represent the IDs, and I want to represent region, and let's say I want to represent sex, and let's say I want to represent the age group. Now let's say I'll go back to the previous page, that is page 1. And on this filters all this pages section, let's say I want to add again, let's add this region field. Let's keep it here, and let's select northeast. If you will select northeast, then all the pages in this particular report will get filtered accordingly. Right here also you can see that the data is being represented only and only for northeast region. And if I will now go there to page 2, then you can see that in this region you will see only and only northeast. No other region is being present here, because we have applied report level filter on this entire report, and this report is having 2 pages. If this report would have consisted of let's say 5 or 10 pages, then this filter would have been applied to all the pages, because this is a report level filter. Now let's say I want to see the data only and only for northwest, so I can uncheck this box and I can select northwest. So now on the first page also you will see the data only and only for northwest, because this is a report level filter that we have applied. So you can see northwest here, and entire data is being represented for northwest only. Now since I want to remove this filter, so I can simply click here on remove filter. So this was the discussion about visual level filter, report level filter, and page level filter. Now there is one more thing that I want to talk about in this particular session. If I will compare these 2 bar charts, so first of all, in this bar chart, that is average charges by age group, you can see that A3 age group is represented at the top, which is having the average charge as 18k, while A2 is having 13k and A1 is having 9k. If I'll talk about the second chart, that is the number of the customers by count of children, then you can see here these bars are basically arranged in the ascending order of the count of the customers, right? While let's say if I want it in the descending order of the count of the customers, so for that purpose what I'll do, I'll first of all expand this data pane, and here you can see that this children field is having the data type as sum, right? I mean data type as a number data type, sorry. It is quite evident from this summation symbol also before this children field, right? So I will change, as I'm not performing any mathematical operation like the average or the sum of the count of the children. So in that case, even if I will change the data type of this particular children field to text, it will not make any difference, and it will then represent the data in the descending order of the count of the customers. So in order to make that change, let's head over to the Power Query editor. So I'll click on Home tab and I'll click on this icon, and from here I will select this children field, and from here I can change the data type and I'll make it text. Now let's go back to, and since I want to apply the change and I want to go back to the report view, so I'll click on close and apply. And now let's see what is the change that takes place. So now you can see that the bars are in this particular chart, the bars are represented in the descending order of the number of the customers, right? Because we have changed the data type of the count of the children, right? So that's how we can represent following insights on this report. And here we have created 2 pages. I created the second page just in order to show it to you that how report level filter works. So I think that's all for this session. We'll meet in the next session, and then we will also discuss about publishing the report to Power BI service. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. Hey everyone. So in this video, we are going to talk and discuss about publishing the report to Power BI service. So this is a 2-page report that we have created. As you can see that there are some visuals on the first page, and there's a table visual on the second page. Let's say I want this table visual to have same formatting as that of this ribbon chart. So I can click on this ribbon chart, format painter, page 2, and I'll click here on this chart. Now here you can see an option in this share group. You can see this option to publish, right? But before beginning with this step to publish this report to Power BI service, I'm again mentioning that there is a video of mine that you can watch, and you can create a free Power BI account. You should be having a free Power BI account to which you can publish this report. Even if you are not having a work or a school account, you can publish this report to Power BI account by creating a free Power BI account, and I'll be mentioning the link in the description box below. Since I've already created an account, so I will simply click here on publish, and here you can see I've not signed in. So I'll just simply click here on publish, and it says that do you want to save changes. I'll simply click on yes. Now I will have to sign in because I have not signed in. So now it is telling me to sign in. So I will provide the email address and password. This is the email address. And then I will select this account, and fine. So it will send a code to my number, and I'll have to provide that code here. So we have fine, and I'll click on verify. So here you can publish the report to different workspaces. So let's say I want to publish the report to my workspace only. So I will simply select this my workspace, or you can double click on it, and it will publish this report to my workspace. So the report has been published. Now let's say I want to open this report. So I will simply click on that link that you saw there on Power BI desktop. It may take some time. And this is the report, right? This is the page 1 of the report, and this is page 2 of the report. If let's say you want to view the data for Northeast region, you can select that region, and this filter will be applied. Let's say you want to see for Southwest region, so the filter will be applied accordingly. Let's say you want to view the insights for a given ID, then you will get the details for that particular ID, right? So that's how you can publish the report to Power BI service. And if I'll click here on home, and I'll click here on workspaces, then since we published the report to my workspace, so I'll click on my workspace, and here you can see that this is the report. So when I'll click here on this particular report, this report will be opened. So that's how you can publish the report to Power BI service. In the upcoming sessions, we will also talk about creating a dashboard. There is some difference between a dashboard and a report. So that is also one of the important questions that may be asked in the interview as well. And later we will also discuss about Power BI Pro and Premium license. That is also one of the important interview questions. So we'll keep the discussion limited to this much part only in this session. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye-bye. Hey everyone. So in this video, we are going to talk about reports and dashboards. So there's a difference between reports and dashboards. as you saw that we created the report in Power BI desktop and then we published it to Power BI service, and we can create dashboards only in Power BI service. Fine. And dashboard actually consists of a single page, while reports can consist of single or multiple pages. And on dashboard, we represent the most important information. While when it comes to reports, if you are interested in getting into the detailed analysis or detailed information, then you can refer to reports. So that's the difference. Fine. Now, first of all, you can click here on home icon, then click here on workspaces. Since we published our report to my workspace, so I will now click on my workspace and I will click on this particular report. I will open this report, basically the report that we published to Power BI service. And these are the 2 pages in the report, right? So now I will click here on edit. And let's say I want to pin this particular visual, that is number of the customers by age group, to the dashboard, or I want to add this visual to the dashboard. So I will simply click here on this particular visual, and here you will see this icon to pin the visual. So I will simply click here on this icon. It will ask where would you like to pin to, existing dashboard or new dashboard. Since there is no existing dashboard, so it is not showing any name. So let's create a new dashboard and let's name it as test YT and simply click on pin and click on go to dashboard. So that's how you can see that this visual has been added to the dashboard. Now let's say there is some other visual that I want to pin or add to this particular dashboard. So I will go to my workspaces again. This is our report, edit, and let's say this is the visual number of the customers by count of children. Let's say I want to add this visual as well to the dashboard that we created. So I'll click on pin visual and I want to pin it to the existing dashboard, and the dashboard is named test YT. So I'll simply click on pin, go to the dashboard, and here you can see that these 2 visuals are present here, right? And when we clicked on that visual, it brought us back to this particular report. Let's say I want to go back to the dashboard. So this is the dashboard test YT. Yes. All right. So it brings us back to this particular report when we click on the visuals that we have pinned live on the dashboard. Now let's say I want to add a visual from the second page to the dashboard. So I will click on edit. I'll go to page 2. I'll select this visual, and here also I'll click on pin visual and I will click on existing dashboard test YT and I'll go there to the dashboard. So now you can see that we have added the visuals from different pages to this particular dashboard. You can resize these visuals like this. Second. Workspace and test YT, I'm sorry. And you can resize this visual as well. And we can bring it here. And you can resize this visual as well. So that's how you can add different visuals from the report to this particular dashboard, and that's how you can create a dashboard. Even if you are interested in pinning entire report page to this dashboard, you can do that as well. So let's go back to the report, and here you can, when I'll click on edit, here you can see this option to pin to a dashboard. So this entire page 1 will be pinned live to the dashboard that we created. So existing dashboard test YT pin live, go to dashboard. So here you can see that entire page has been added. We can further resize it and we can place it somewhere here according to our convenience. We can bring this table visual at the top. We can keep it here. We can resize it. So in this manner, you can pin different visuals and in fact entire report pages to the dashboard. And dashboard consists of single page, while report can consist of multiple pages. And we represent the most important information on the dashboard, while if you want to know or get into the detailed analysis or detailed information, then you can refer to the report or different pages on the report. So that's all for this session. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye-bye. Hey everyone. So in this session, we are going to talk about uh, scheduling refresh, because when your data gets updated, it will be required to schedule refresh, because you will always want to see the latest updated data on your report, right? So for that purpose, it is required to schedule refresh. So I'll simply click here on workspaces, and I'll click on my workspace. Then when you will hover your mouse over to this area, here this icon represents a report. This icon represents a data set, and this icon represents a dashboard. So when you have to see that this dataset icon, and then next to this project to YouTube or whatever is the name of the dataset, here you will see an option to schedule refresh. So you just simply have to click here on schedule refresh. Here you will see data source credentials and refresh. So we cannot click on data source credentials and refresh, because in order to schedule refresh, we will require a gateway, and we, as of now, we are not having any gateways, right? So we will have to download and install a gateway, and then we will have to configure it, and only after that we'll be able to schedule refresh. So here you can see this option of installing now. So click on install now. There are basically two modes. We have standard mode gateway and personal mode gateway. So personal mode gateway is best for single users, and when we are working with teams, so standard mode gateway has to be used. And there are other advantages of standard mode gateway as well. So that is still one of the important interview questions. So you should know about that as well, right? So as of now, we are downloading on premises data gateway personal mode. It may take some time. Hey everyone, once we have downloaded the gateway, we can now install and configure it. So you can find it in your downloads. I have kept it here on my desktop, so I'll just simply double click on it. And you will have to accept the terms of use and click on install. It may take some time. Okay. Now we will have to write the email address, and we'll have to sign in. So I'll write my email address. And then simply click on sign in. Pick an account. I have to provide the password. Sign in. It will send a code to your number. You'll have to verify it. So we have 205145. Verify. It may take some time. Yes, so we have now signed in. All right, we have now signed in, and you can check the status from here. So the gateway is online and it is ready to be used. So now let's head over to Power BI service. Hey everyone, once you have downloaded and installed the gateway, you can now simply click here on this refresh button. You can refresh the page. Now when I will click here on gateway connections, you can see this gateway. click on it, click on apply. So your updates to project to YouTube gateway connection have been applied, and then you have to click on data source credentials. So here you can see fail to test the connection to your data source. Please retry your credentials. So I'll click on edit credentials and I'll simply click on sign in. So that is also updated. Now I will click on refresh and I will change this to on. Here you will have to define the refresh frequency because your data may get updated, right? So when your data gets updated, you would like to see the updated data on your report or dashboard. So you can schedule a refresh, and here you can decide the frequency. You can decide the frequency either weekly or daily. Let's say I'll choose daily, and from here you can choose the time zone. So let's say I'll choose UTC 5:30 Chennai, Kolkata, Mumbai, New Delhi, and you can add another time from here. So let's say if I want to add some time of my convenience, let's say I want to add uh, let's say let's keep it 11:30. So and you can schedule refresh in that manner. And there are actually two types of licenses, the first being pro license and the second one being premium license. In pro license you can schedule up to 8 refreshes in a day, while in premium license you can schedule up to 48 refreshes in a day. So that is also again one of the important interview questions. We will be discussing about important interview questions in a separate video series, but it is again like one of the important questions. So you should go through these questions, and in this manner you can schedule refresh. And once you have scheduled the refresh, from here you can just simply click on apply. Fine. So whenever your data will be updated, then you will see the updated data here on the report as well, your dashboard as well, right, on Power BI service. So I'll click here on home tab now, and I'll click on workspaces, my workspace, and I'll click here. Let's say I'll click here on this report. So as of now you can see the count is 1338. I will add some more records to the source file, and then once the data gets refreshed at 11:30, we will come back to this report again and we will see that if scheduled refresh is working or not. So we'll meet in the next session. Hey everyone, so welcome you all to this session. And last time we scheduled refresh at 11:30, so and then after that I added some records to the source file. Now let's have a look and let's see if scheduled refresh is working or not. So I'll simply click on workspaces, my workspace, and this is the report that we had. So here you can see that the number of the records have been updated, and no, the number of the records have not been updated. There are 1338 records only. Initially we were also having the same number of records. So I will refresh visuals. Yes, so you can see that the number of the records have changed and number of the records have increased, and it became 1342, right? Because I've added 4 more records. So the data changed accordingly, right? So that's how you can schedule refresh. And I think that this project video is helpful, and we will meet in the next session. I'll be coming up with more project videos in which I will be creating videos on DAX, data modeling, row level security, and other stuff. So we'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye.